first guest. We have NFR qualifier. You guys watched her run last night. Please welcome Wenda Johnson. I mean, that was a pretty good whistle for you, and I think it's because you look so good. It's a date. It's a date.
Yeah,
Bring her on some dates.
It's wonderful.
Wenda, how do you tell us about yourself a little bit? How do you come from being a nurse practitioner to an NFR barrel racer?
I'm in a pretty unique situation, and I love horses. I love to ride. I was really fortunate growing up that my parents were so supportive and provided the coaching and the opportunities to compete and ride. So I gained a great foundation throughout my younger years, high school rodeo, college rodeo. But I actually, and I'm sure not many people know, but I didn't run barrels for 10 years.
Well, when did you quit?
So, like I college rodeoed a couple years and then...
Met a boy, or?
Well, partly, yeah. My
That's
husband
what happens. That's what happens.
We leased a ranch and we were kind of getting life going and have a couple children. And
I feel like you got nervous. Like, yes, I met a boy.
Well, I never was so competitive that it drove me to the fact that I was like, I am going to compete no matter what. I knew I needed horses in my life, and was fortunate, we ranched. So I got to ride, and that kind of satisfied my needs of being around horses.
Until you met your first moonflash breed.
And that is a very unique, kind of unusual story in itself, and kind of just kept coming back around to me. And I feel like God was like pushing me in that way of like, you are going to get on this horse, you have the ability, you have the talent, you just need to get back.
And sometimes it feels like you just get pushed off of that bridge, right? No choice but to fall.
I needed that little bit of encouragement. I probably wouldn't have done it on my own because I was satisfied riding on the ranch and just riding every day at home.
This is actually really, I'm so sorry, one more, I'm vibing. This is actually really interesting to me because I've kind of lost that passion in competing, hence why I'm up here. And it's interesting to me that you got it back and that you did get pushed, and I'm kind of like waiting for that from God. So when was that moment when you felt that way, where you're like, I'm going to go on the road again?
Well, it still took a while. When I first was able to get on the very first moonflash that I rode, that's a mouthful. Some friends kind of helped me out. It was when I went back to school. I got my nurse practitioner degree, so I was finishing up my master's. I had a clinical rotation in Fort Worth. It was about 3 hours from my house at the time, and I was going to go get a hotel. I had to work a week on, week off, and so my sister and some friends had a boarding facility, and they let me go stay at their house. And I tried to pay them, and they wouldn't let me pay them. And I said, "Well, let me ride some horses and." I'd love to ride, and the great people that really knew into horses, and they asked me, "Well, you ride barrels, right?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've ride barrels before." And they said, "We got this racehorse. We think it'd be a barrel horse." And I'm going, "Okay,
That's every barrel racer's dream. Like, we got a really fast horse. We would love to throw you on." And you're like,
"Yeah." And that's how it kind of started in it, and. They had tried to get a hold of trainers. They were begging anybody to get on this horse, even high school girls. And so I got on, asked their barn manager, "Hey, what have you been doing with them? And show me how you like to ride him." And smoked a run at the house. I mean, unbelievably talented. I just got off, handed the reins to the owner. I said, "This is such a talented horse. This is a pro level horse. This is a pro level horse, and you need to get a maturity trainer. Get him in the right hands. Do not put a high school girl on this horse. You need to give him the opportunity to go be successful." And that's how it started. So I just, they kept saying, "Will you ride him?" I'm like, "No, I have 2 little girls. I'm finishing school. Get a trainer. That's what they do for their job." And it took about, 2 months for them to kind of talk me into it. And at that point, my clinicals were done, and they called me a month or so later and were like, man, we can't get anybody to come even ride him. Will you meet us at the Sparrow race halfway between you and I? And sure, I'm not doing anything. So third time I literally step on him, break the arena record. It was pretty amazing. And so I just helped them out. I said, look, I'll help you till you find a trainer. Did really well on him.
Even after breaking the arena record, you're like, I'll help you until you find a trainer. I'm pretty sure I'd be like, so about this horse.
Yeah, it was, I was really fortunate because my husband was so supportive and like, he's like, why not go ride him and go have some fun with it, and you always wanted to ride a maturity horse. So I rode him for about 10 months, just once a month for 10 months. It wasn't even, I just jump rode him. So since that point, I've literally jump rode these horses. They've always lived in Fort Worth, and their barn manager did a great job. He keeps them in shape, and I get to go have fun, take them to the races, and we go make magic together.
Let me ask you a question. How hard is it to stay healthy on the road?
It's I would say it is pretty challenging, just because you are traveling, and if you have anything specific you need, it takes time, planning and preparation. I've always, since I've gotten on these horses in 16, I have really been fairly part-time compared to a lot of barrel racers. I usually try to go once or twice a month because I do jump ride them. I can just pick my races. They either bring them to the races or meet up. Now, the horses did get sold last August to High Point, so this last year I actually took the rig and took the horses, so I did a lot more this last year.
I think we should talk to Charlie and Jason about that. Like, now Wenda has to drive, so I'm pretty sure that we need to get you a driver, get you back out there doing what you're best at, which is jump riding. She makes it sound really easy, you guys. Jump riding a horse is not easy whatsoever. She happens to be one of the best jockeys in the world. I don't have the video behind us because we couldn't get it fast enough for the show, but I have watched her ride bareback and win a race bareback. How do you ride these high-powered race horses bareback to kick the rest of ours butts and the same way you would under saddle?
I do believe the key to that is because I grew up riding bareback, and that's all we did was ride bareback and go fast and swim them and then run them wet bareback. I mean, so I developed that from a very young age and really enjoyed it as
so
well.
Your babysitter was your horse?
Pretty much. And
yeah,
the things we did.
Throw Wenda on and we'll go to town and she's fine.
Yes, yeah. We had so much fun.
What would you tell little girls if they're interested in being a professional barrel racer?
I do believe horsemanship's the key, and getting a good coach is essential, because we as we develop our skill, we're all going to develop it as individuals, and there's a million ways to turn a barrel, and I think that there's times that turning a barrel this way might help one horse, and having to change that style for another horse is really important. So I really try to see what does that horse need and really individualize it for the horse. And so any young girl trying to come up and become successful, it's through experience, it's through timing, and finding like a feel so that with that timing. And if you watch any of these girls, we've got such a great group of horse women here in the top 15, but the timing coming into a barrel, how they use their body, how they use each part of their body, so from their hand, their heads, shoulders, arms, hands, hips, feet, knees, everything.
Not that.
Yes.
That's what was playing in my head.
Yes.
Speaking of that, it has been really fun finals to watch, and this is a super tough pin of horses. I feel like the horse that you're riding this year, and also other years, but now he's your main now, he seems a little bit more free, which seems to help you in this pin. What do you?
Yeah, it depends. Mo's pretty, he's 7 now, so physically mature. I think that's definitely an advantage this year. But I did catch some barrels that really cost me this year. But he's really does listen quite well, but my timing has to be so impeccable on him, because if I, like on the second time I caught a barrel, I picked up my hand like that and he said, okay. And
yes, ma'am.
So really that was more rider error on my part. My timing has to be just so correct on him, because he is trying really hard and he's just so quick-footed that, I never pull and drag on him. It's like a quick bump and then give it back to him. And ideally, I like to actually try to leave him alone so that he can just work and place his own feed.
Speaking of that, when you're talking about, sometimes you have to check in and show him the barrel or place his feet where he needs to be placed, or just run out there and let him work. I mean, we're coming into the 8th round. What do you perceive is going to happen tonight? Like, how, not your run, but how do you feel like he's going to work, and how are you going to prepare for that?
So I ran the stud last night. I was fortunate enough to get to borrow Smoking French Winter. Who's
Another jump ride?
Yeah, I rode him twice before we came, and he's amazing. He knows his job, has a lot of power. We sprung a shoe into the first last night, which kind of hurt us a little. He had to kind of catch himself, so I lost a little time and was a 13.9. But I'll probably run him again tonight and see if we can get that angle into first. He was like ready to come in and crank it. I think I was a little straight into one.
So you're pretty excited.
Yeah.
Like when you say, I'm going to go ahead and run him again tonight for $30,000, that means what you felt under you, you feel like you can win the round on him.
Yeah, absolutely. He has the ability, and so I feel pretty comfortable jumping on him.
Well, we all know where my money is going tonight, and it's going to be on you after having this conversation. Thank you so much for coming. We all wish you the best of luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Give her a big round of applause and wish Wenda luck tonight at the 8th round of the NFR. I'm actually super excited to watch her. How about you, Jeff?
I'm very excited. I can't